First Lady Tammy Murphy is taking steps to seek the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. She's looking to fill the seat currently held by Senator Bob Menendez, who was recently indicted on federal corruption charges. Joining us now is Laura Jones, the host of NJ Politics. Laura, are you surprised by this announcement?
Not really, because once the Bob Menendez indictment came out, almost immediately everybody was talking about, well, who would replace him, even though in our system, innocent until proven guilty. This is the second time Menendez has been indicted on federal charges. So some of the names that came about, Andy Kim, he's a congressman, 3rd District. His name was immediately in the forefront. And also people started talking about Tammy Murphy because another thing to take into consideration is if Menendez had to step down or resigns before that term is filled, people are again talking about, well, who could be a replacement? Governor Murphy would be the person who would appoint a replacement, and Tammy Murphy's name has come up. So it is not surprising because she's been very visible in his administration, a big advocate for climate change, also for maternal infant health. So she has been very involved, a strong confidant to her husband. So not a complete surprise, and word is she plans on filing the paperwork later this week.
What kind of candidate do you think Tammy Murphy will be?
I think one of the things that when I've talked to people about Tammy Murphy and I've said, well, the governor's wife, and some people will clap back and say, well, she's more than the governor's wife, right? So I think she's going to have a little bit of a challenge, right? Because politics is perception, getting past the governor's wife, because in her own, she used to work for Goldman Sachs. Again, she's been very involved in her husband's tenure as governor, speaking out on issues like climate change and again, maternal fetal medicine. So I think that those would be big issues that she talks about. And also, I think one thing that we can't ignore is she would be the first female U.S. senator that New Jersey has ever seen. So that is going to probably be a big part of her campaign, women's issues. Again, like I said, as the governor's wife, let me stop saying the governor's wife, that of First Lady, she has been someone who's talked a lot about maternal infant care.
Now, you answered this a little bit just before, but how do you think she's going to be received by voters?
That is a great question. Again, I think that she is going to have to get past that title of the governor's wife. But once she gets past that and out on her own, she is a very well-spoken person, very intelligent. I think another issue that she might have to answer to, though, is she used to be a Republican, or she voted Republican up until 2014. So that'll be a question that she has to answer on the fly. But she's got experience running alongside her husband, and the office of First Lady. She keeps a very active schedule. She's out and about and is very well liked. There are some issues going on in other news in New Jersey with some of the windmill programs that are kind of crashing and burning. So that could be problematic for her because she is a very big outspoken advocate for climate change. So that may not bode too well for her. Might be a hurdle that she has to talk about. But generally speaking, she at this point well, nobody's officially declared other than Andy Kim has said, hey, I have every intention of running. But it's possible that Bob Menendez might decide that he's going to run again, too. This is New Jersey, so you never know.
That's so true. But what do you think she needs to focus on to become the Democratic nominee?
Well, I think the issues at New Jersey, it goes to affordability. It goes to ensuring we're getting our fair share of money back from Washington, D.C. People are very, very much fed up about what is happening in Washington, D.C., how politically divided we are. I think they want to see somebody who can put the partisanship aside and actually be a voice for New Jersey. People are fed up also with corruption. You look at Bob Menendez and these charges that he's facing, those are very, very serious, right? So they want someone who's going to represent them because quite frankly, people in New Jersey are tired of being the butt of a joke. Because we are. I mean, this is something out of a movie script, gold bars, cash shoved in envelopes in Senator Menendez's house, allegedly. Bringing back honor and integrity to the state of New Jersey. So I think that that's, what people want as far as qualities in a leader. And again, this is one of the most expensive states, is not one of the most expensive states to live in New Jersey. And ensuring we're getting our fair share back from Washington, D.C., that's very much a part of what our congressional delegation does. And we don't always get the amount of money back in comparison to other states. It has improved. We used to be at the bottom of the list, but it has improved. So I think that those are some of the issues that she would definitely have to address. And I'm sure a woman's right to choose is going to be another huge issue at the federal level.
Sure. Now let's switch the focus to her husband really quickly. What does this say about Governor Murphy's ambitions? He's in his second term now. Many may be surprised that he isn't running for U.S. Senate.
Well, that is a good question. I think that Governor Murphy had his sights a little bit more set on the White House, right? The way to the White House is through the State House. So in order for him to run for Senate while he's in office as governor, I don't see that necessarily being a good pathway, because again, in order, you have to get all the counties to support you, right? And a big part of being successful when you're running is that line on the ballot. That's a little bit more inside baseball. But I think that Governor Murphy definitely has national ambitions, not necessarily as a U.S. Senator. Again, I think he had his eyes on a possible run if Joe Biden didn't run, but Joe Biden is running. So I just don't think that that's his particular pathway. And he would be going up against a lot of people who have supported him. So I don't know that he would get the support that he needs in order to secure the nomination.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned a few earlier, but just to round up, are there other candidates right now, or is it too early to say?
Oh, no, there are a number of people who are expressing an interest. The one that is most notable is Congressman Andy Kim from the 3rd District, also Congressman Norcross. This is out there, but it is a possibility. Bob Menendez's son is a congressman. He could technically run. He could run. I haven't heard that he would do that. I think right now the person most likely to run, Congressman Andy Kim, Democrat from the 3rd District. So, but there are a number of other people who are putting their names out there, floating it to see what would happen. And again, this is for the Democratic side. We don't even know what would happen in the Republican side. We haven't had a Republican elected to the U.S. Senate since the 70s, I believe 1972. So, it would be quite a big deal if Tammy Murphy is to run. And again, being the first woman to be as a member of the U.S. Senate, that would be a pretty big draw, I believe, for a candidacy and a campaign.
A lot of developments to come, Laura. Thank you. All right, head on over to OnNJ.com for the latest New Jersey news anytime.